So clearly, the private sector is still bigger than the public sector, no, as far as the tertiary education sector is concerned. No? Of that, whatever it is, 1.8 million minus 25%. Okay. How many in the private sector, students going to the private sector, schools, receive any subsidy from the government? I'd also like to greet also our chairman, Popoy de Vera. No? So because welcome to the Senate, Popoy. Glad to be working with you again, no, on implementing this universal access to quality education.
Mr. President, the number His Honor is looking for is 341,000 private school students receiving financial assistance from government.
Okay, and what is the per capita? How much assistance do we give each of those students, more or less, on the average?
60,000 per student, Mr. President.
Okay, 60,000. And the total value of that would be how much? The 300,000 times 60. That should be about what? 20 billion? 341,000.
Close to 20 billion, around 18 billion.
Okay. No, 341,000, di ba?
Yes, sa mga yan, mga 20.
Okay. So does that mean that 50% of the subsidy we provide, CHED?
What's the total we provide?
How much are we giving, CHED? 50 billion, di ba? And then 40 billion ang pang student assistance or tuition fees?
Mr. President, under UACTE, we are providing 44 billion. So almost half.
So almost half goes to the private
Almost
school.
half, yes.
Okay. Oh, thank you for that information. Okay. Okay. And public sector education at the tertiary level, we're spending next year, what, 80 billion for state universities and colleges, and roughly another 20 from CHED, which will make it roughly 100 billion. Is that correct? No, I'm sorry. State universities, 80. CHED has 50, but 20 of that will go to the private, roughly, of the 50. So 30 plus the 80, 110. 110 billion is our expense for roughly 1.3 million students. Is that correct?
Well, what's His Honor's question?
So the question is, how much are we spending for the public sector?
Okay.
Tertiary education, you have 80 and roughly 80 under the state universities and colleges. That includes UP, 20 of which is UP. Then CHED's budget is 50, but 20 of the 50 goes to the private, more or less. 30 you may iwan for the public. So roughly 110
80 plus 30.
Yes.
80 plus 30.
Right?
I think so, but let me just double check.
Okay.
Yeah, the 50 according to Chairman Popoy is the total CHED budget. So it
Correct.
would be 80 plus about 19. So about 99, almost 100 B, Mr. President, not 110.
Yeah. Di ba ang budget ng CHED is 50?
Yes.
Okay. And then 20 goes to the private?
Around 25 to the private.
25. So 25 ang matitira sa public. Alas 50-50 yung CHED. Diba?
Kasi may budget pa kayo doon, may admin pa.
Kasama yung admin. Kasama yung admin.
Kasama
Yes.
na yung admin, may
Correct.
iwanan sila ng 25. So around 15 goes to public, about 19 goes to the public.
Hindi, kasama talaga dapat yung admin because when we say the SUC at 80, kasama yung admin dun eh. Di ba? So 80 ang SUC including UP, 25, 50 ang budget ng CHED, 25 goes to the private, more or less, and 25 will remain in the public. Kasama yung admin.
Yes.
So about 105.
Yes.
Okay?
Tamang
Now,
admin, diba?
yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Now, we have 1.3 million students. The cost to educate one student a year, lalabas, what? 105 divided by 1.3 million.
What's that?
Can you check
105.
the number? Oh, how much is it, the cost?
So about 100, a little bit less than 100.
Yeah, a little bit less than 100.
Yeah, maybe 90
Yeah.
something.
80,000. Okay? So that's the average cost. Okay?
Sounds
For the
right.
student. Sounds right, no? Okay. So that's on the average, huh? Okay. Now, UP's budget next year is roughly about, what, 20 billion. And UP has about, what, 60,000 students? How many students do we have? 60?
Yeah, close to 60, 57,000.
Lagyan na natin 60,000. So,
Okay.
roughly, we're spending 350,000 per student in UP. And
Tama
I
ba?
have no quarrel with that. I'm just looking at the numbers.
Mr. President, the UP budget His Honor mentioned of 20B includes PGH, so we have to exclude that.
Correct.
So roughly, we will be left with close to 200,000 per student for UP.
How much goes to PGH pala of the 20 billion?
6 billion, Mr. President.
6 billion. Okay. May kailangan pa ba ang PGH? Meron ba request si Dr. Gap that we can assist him with?
Mr. President, he does have. We were able to grant 6 out of his wish list, pero yung naiwan yung pinakamahal at isa pala sa pinaka-importante, yung hospital information, patient information.
Oh, well, that's a very important
Hospital information system, 250 million.
250 million. Okay, thank you for that. I'm sure we can find ways, no? Okay. So anyway, moving forward. So 6 billion goes to, so 14 matitira divided by 60, mga 250,000 for UP per capita spending. Huh? Okay. Now, how many students do we have in the National Capital Region? Or before I get to that, I'm sorry, maybe I can make a presentation also because I think we're prepared to do it already. Nevertheless, we know we're spending 105 billion on the public sector to educate 1.3. Would CHED have the data? And we know the cost per student in the public sector. How much does it cost to educate in the private sector? Would Popoy, would the CHED have those numbers as well?
It's a wide range, di ba?
Yeah, but the average lang, 1.7. What is our average pala for the public ulit?
Okay, the range, Mr. President, is very big. So on the low end would be 10,000 per year, and on the high end, 200,000 per year.
Earlier, we computed the average cost to educate a student in the public sector, roughly 80,000.
80, yes.
80. Of course, there's a range, no? I think in the public sector, the range, as we discussed, is anywhere from 18,000 to the high of UP of 200, roughly 250,000. I wanted to, in the public sector, okay? 18,000, I think, is what region is this? Ekay?
Zamboanga po.
Zamboanga Peninsula. Zamboanga Peninsula, to educate student there is roughly 18,000.
Public.
And
Mr.
then-
President, for public school, the lowest we have is around 9,000. That's SEM or that's per year? Per year. 9,000, Mr. President.
No, I'll get to that. I'll get to that. Okay. We know the average cost in the public sector is 80,000. We established that earlier.
Yes, correct.
And then there's a range. Okay.
Yes, correct.
Now, in the private sector, would CHED have an idea of the total private sector industry? We already established public sector, 105 tayo eh. What is the cost in the private sector? They have 1.7 million students. It costs us to educate 1.3 million, 105 billion. What is the cost of the private sector to educate 1.7 million? Would CHED have an idea?
Well, the
No.
range is quite big, so they don't really have a number, but
We don't have the number. Okay.
yeah, but it's because the range is quite high. So without the exact numbers, it might be a little bit difficult to really
Okay.
compute it now.
Okay. So could CHED or Popoy in the future just provide with that, or maybe they do a study on that and just provide us in the Senate?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
that-
Mr. President, yes.
Okay. Because it should not be difficult. As we did today, we established it's 80,000 in the public sector, and we did that in 20 minutes, right? Okay. Now, if I were to break down nationwide, 1.3 million students, we know more or less UP 60,000, the National Capital Region has 143,000 students, Calabarzon has 128,000, Central Luzon has 140,000, Cordillera has 27,000, the Cagayan Valley has about 58,000, Ilocos Region has 56,000 students. ARM, kaya ano ba yung ARM natin dito? 43,000 students. And I look at the budgetary allocation for each region. Divided by the number of students, we see the per capita cost. Okay? It would appear that the lowest is Zamboanga Peninsula at 18,000. Wala pa yung, ito, as of 2018 to 2019 to eh. Okay. Yeah, I think we can show this on the board, no? We just did this prior to our interpolation. So I looked at the 2018 figures because I didn't know what the enrollment was right now. Okay? So lumalabas dito, Zamboanga Peninsula is 18,000. UP High, sinama kasi namin yung PGH dito, kaya it's 345. That's why we wanted to correct the figure, so it's now roughly 250. So it's anywhere from 18 to 250. But that does not include the CHED yet. Okay? So my next question to CHED is, yung natitirang 20 billion with CHED for the public schools, or 15 ba matitira? Thereabouts. Yan ba, you pay the tuition fee based on the tuition fee of the school, right? So kung mataas yung tuition fee, mas mataas yung bayad ninyo in the public sector. So I mean to say, if a student, all the students in UP, 60,000 students in UP get something from CHED, right? Free tuition eh. CHED ang magbabayad eh, di ba?
Yeah. UP claims 1,500 per unit, which is the highest amount that CHED provides.
Okay, got that. Okay. All I'm saying is that hindi pa kasama yung CHED dito sa equation na to. Okay? Now, I was just surprised to take a look that masyadong uneven in the regions, the disparity is so wide pala. Is the CHED aware of this? That this is our spending per student, lumalabas, nationwide. And I look at ARM here, Autonomous Region in Muslim Mindanao, they have 43,000 students with a budget of 4 billion, the entire region. They're spending 91,000 a student. Ilocos, for example, has a smaller budget of 3.4 billion with 56,000 students. Okay, done ARM, and they're spending there at 61,000 per student.
Yes, Mr. President, Chairman Popoy says that
They're aware.
will be doing a study to determine the cost of education per region.
Okay, so we have this here right now. We're presenting it, no? Because I think there's something wrong with how we're allocating resources also by region. Okay, so I'm not saying that I do have a solution, but not yet, because we just noticed this. Okay, so maybe the CHED could help us out moving forward for the regions to be able to catch up naman. Because I noticed that, let's say, in Calabarzon, which is the second biggest region, and the allocation for, let's say, next year in Calabarzon is only 3.2 billion. Okay? So I guess it would be important for the CHED to guide us moving forward. How do we improve such a situation? How do we improve, if we can't spend more in the regions, di ba? We can't improve the quality of education also there.